Welcome back, everybody. My name is Phil. We are continuing our London Film Festival coverage with the BFI for 2020. I'm once again thrilled and delighted to welcome back my very good friend Dina Burgess, who I used to work with many, many moons ago. I think it was 20 years ago. I should be saying that, really, should I? Because we both look 20.
Just wee things.
We still haven't changed, though, have we, Dina?
Oh, bless you, darling. I'm afraid I have.
You haven't at all. I haven't seen you for a good few years. In fact, you know, person to person, up close, I haven't seen you for about 10 years. But on the screen, you don't look any different.
Oh, well, thank you, I think.
Well, this is really apt because you were my movie reviewer as part of The Breakfast Show, because we co-presented The Breakfast Show, but you used to do a film review slot on Friday, which I remember, you know, very fondly. It was really good fun. We used to cause a riot, didn't we, usually?
We had some very funny moments.
I've still got the recordings on tape somewhere. Might have to dig those out.
I think we're thinking of the same one, actually.
Thesaurus the Fruit, I remember very well. Me talking about that and getting the name wrong.
Little Man. Do you remember Little Man?
Yes. Oh, the memories.
It's the name of a film. It's the name of a film, just to clarify, in case anybody thinks about anything else. I'm not talking about you, Man. I'm talking about the film Little Man.
So the movie today we're talking about, and hopefully you'll jog my memory because I saw it a while ago. I didn't see it as part of the BFI London Film Festival. It's Shirley, directed by Josephine Decker, and it stars the brilliant Elisabeth Moss, Odessa Young, and Michael Stuhlbarg. Now, can you refresh my memory, Dina? Because you're so brilliant at kind of telling the story with these films. Can you tell the story?
Yeah, well, Shirley Jackson was a real life horror writer, and sorry, I'm going to have to just look at my notes because this was from a book called Shirley, and I can't remember what the name of the writer was now. Oh yeah, Susan Scarf Merrill was the lady that wrote her. I don't think it was biography, but it was a story about her, using parts of her life and parts fiction. And this is what this film is basically. It's based on that particular book. So it's Shirley and her husband, Stanley Hyman, who was a lecturer. And the dynamics of the relationship is obviously based on her writing and her mental illness. And this particular story is to do with her writing her pivotal novel. And they're using this premise that she actually manipulated characters in her own life to their detriment, to her benefit, to finish her novel. So basically, she's in a slump, and this young couple move in with them because the husband is going to start an internship with her husband at the university. I think it's Bennington College. I have to look at my notes again. Bennington College. His wife, Rose, is kind of tasked with looking after the house. She's pregnant, but she's tasked with looking after the house because Shirley doesn't keep too well. She drinks a lot. She has mental health issues. She's struggling with writer's block. And when Rose comes into her life, they both develop this kind of fixation on this girl who's gone missing from the college campus. And Shirley uses this as her as a subject for her next novel, and the novel that will be her big success, basically. But throughout the film, you get the sense that she's visualizing Rose as the subject of her book, and through her manipulation and also her husband's manipulation, we see the deterioration of Rose and her husband Fred's marriage. So they're basically an innocent young couple that come to stay, and Shirley basically, you know, sets out to destroy their relationship. I don't think I'm giving anything away by that, because
no.
It's very, very obvious that's going to happen. So how much she was like that, I don't know. But if you look at pictures of Elisabeth Moss and Shirley Jackson, it's absolutely uncanny. It's uncanny, the physical resemblance that they've managed to create with Elisabeth Moss in this film.
And I'm guessing the mannerisms as well, the behaviour, because Elisabeth Moss is always excellent on screen, but she does come across as someone very different to how we've seen before, what we've seen before on screen.
That to me was the highlight of the film, was her acting, because she absolutely steals every scene, and she has obviously done a lot of research. There's a mixture of fact and fiction there. I think you said you quite enjoyed this film, didn't you?
I did, but then I think to myself, I think I enjoyed it because I did enjoy it. It intrigued me. I found it very odd. But I like that. I like a film that makes me question things, and it did make me question things all the way through it.
The cinematography was very good, the way it was shot. Although I think I got a bit fed up of the long slow close-ups for ages at some point. I was like, but I think that was meant to make you feel uncomfortable, and it did. I think that did heighten the tension. But sometimes I did feel like I was being manipulated a wee bit to feel certain things, and I just wasn't feeling it. The acting was incredibly strong. The direction I thought was strong. I think my problem possibly lies with the story. With that, I haven't read the book, so maybe I just wouldn't enjoy the story and the screenplay.
But what possibly a story, though! It's such a good story to have as a movie. I think because it's just waiting to be a movie, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know how much. Obviously, the story of her life obviously would make a good movie in itself. How much how much this is fictional fact, I haven't really researched, but I imagine there's quite a lot of fiction involved in this film. I think my problem was, and we've said about this in previous reviews, I didn't really invest with the characters. I think Shirley and Stanley obviously have a very strange dynamic within the relationship, and I kind of didn't expect to invest in them. But the young couple that came in, I didn't particularly have much sympathy for them, and I felt like I should have had.
Yeah, I don't think they were very likeable. I don't think any of the characters were likeable. I think that probably is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, and maybe that was the point. Maybe I missed the point. But I thought because I hadn't invested in the characters, when the ending kind of happened, I was again a bit, okay, whatever. And that to me is disappointing when I feel that at the end of a film. I thought it was very well done. It was very polished. It was beautifully acted. Very well directed, beautifully shot, but I still didn't like it.
It has been very divisive. I mean, it's divided an audience because I think there are some people that hate it. It's almost like a Marmite movie. People hate it and people love it. I think there's no grey area, nowhere in between you can sit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I hated it because I could see the merits of it, but I didn't like it particularly.
That's really interesting. It's a hard one, isn't it? Because I thought the same, because I'd forgotten so much about it. But now you've been talking about it, I remember, especially towards the end, which obviously don't want to talk about too much, but the drinking problem that she had really does manifest.
Yeah, that whole claustrophobic feel and the frustration of a writer that's not able to write and looking for inspiration and being judged by her husband constantly because she's not writing. And obviously Shirley Jackson had a real talent for getting to the deep psychology of people and kind of upturning the dark side of urban society. I think that's what she was well known for. I think her books are very powerful, and the way she writes about people, her characterizations are fantastic. And I think possibly had she written this movie, it would have been a lot better if she could have written her own movie.
Yeah.
Because I think she would have created, because obviously the fact she was a horror writer, I expected there to be more tension to it, especially when they introduced the idea of a missing girl on campus. I thought, oh, this is going to be a thriller in its own right. It's going to be, have aspects of horror and thriller, and it didn't really to me. It was more a study of Shirley Jackson's mental health, and I thought Elisabeth Moss handled that side of it incredibly well. I could have just sat and watched her and her husband and their relationship disintegrate and not bother with any of the rest.
I think that's one of Elisabeth Moss's real strengths, though, is that you can almost see her acting in anything. I mean, I can watch her in any movie, and I've seen some pretty terrible movies that she's been in, not through her fault, but there have been a couple of really strange indie movies that she's done that I've stuck the length of watching, and at the end of it thought, I fell flat watching that, but at least I could see her performing in it, and she was a joy to watch almost. Not that it was particularly light by any means. There's one film that I can't remember the title of, but it was quite tough to watch. It was quite dark. But I suppose she has got that on-screen presence.
Yeah, and it's the characterization for me is... Because I went and did some research after I watched the film to see what Shirley Jackson was like, and I saw, a few pictures and descriptions, and I thought, wow, she has done a lot of research, I think, into the role. So from that point of view, it seems to be quite factually accurate, but I don't know how much of the rest of the film is.
Have you seen her in The Invisible Man?
Yes. I thought she did her best.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of The Invisible Man, I'm afraid.
Ah, oh. Maybe we could do that on another video.
It's another one that left me a bit meh. There's a lot of films making me go meh at the moment.
You're a hard woman to please.
The old cow that I am, meh.
So it's called Shirley. It's a really hard one to put a rating down on. Yeah, I'm kind of wavering between 6 and 7 out of 10. I'm guessing yours is going to be lower.
Yeah, I always am. I'm gonna hedge my bets and go for a 5, bang on in the middle, average 5. But I think that's because I'm kind of undecided.
Yeah.
You know, but for me it was fairly average. It thought it was very clever. I have a problem with movies that think they're better than they are, and I think it thought it was being very clever. There's certain shots and things that I thought, you think you're being really quite clever here, but you're just boring me.
Like pretentious.
Yeah. I thought it was a bit pretentious, but for that reason, a 5.
That's going up on the billboard. Dina Burgess, I thought it was a bit pretentious.
Well, you can't say what I described it as when I told you pretentious something, but yeah.
I can't wait for future reviews. We've got more to come. Obviously, the BFI Film Festival, the London Film Festival, is rumbling on for another week or so. So I'm sure we're going to be, asking for your opinion on other films. Hopefully, some really good films for you to chomp at the bit to. Good to see you, Dana. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for watching, everyone.